Yeah, you guys, what a powerful trailer there. You can catch the film on YouTube and it's called The South Stand, and I recommend anyone to go and check it out. Fortunately, we do have the writer and director, Rich Walker, with us now for an interview. Rich, are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. How's it going, guys? You right?
How's it going?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, quality, guys. I'm good. I've been following the games. Like we had some pretty strong semi-finals there. England versus France in the final. In theory, the World Cup final we never got. Maybe we'll get that in the final today. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm still scarred from the Croatia game, honestly.
Oh wow!
I don't think I can ever get over that. Yeah, that
No,
was like
crazy.
simultaneously, yeah, my favorite summer and my also least favorite summer, all because of the World Cup. And yeah, just going into a bit more about football, tell us what your short film, The South Stand, is about and why did you decide to make this?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm Birmingham, and I've followed football all my life. I love football, and it's sad sometimes where you go to grounds and you hear abuse. I've heard it myself, and I wanted to do something positive to show that a better way is possible. So I wrote the film based on experiences that I'd seen at grounds playing football as a kid myself. Spoke to my parents, their friends and whatnot about what it would have been like in years gone by, and I kind of developed the script I've kind of been knocking around in my head for around about 18 months or so. But I think only towards like September, October of last year did I think, let's go ahead and crack on and make it. And ironically, it kind of coincided with England's game out in Sofia when there's a lot of abuse going down there. And I finished writing the script on that day, so it was a bit of a strange coincidence, and I felt pretty compelled I had to go out and make it. But yeah, I think it's something I'm really, really passionate about. I love the idea of using the power of film to shine the light and give voices to issues that aren't always heard. People have loads of different ways in which they can tackle issues, and my way is through the art form of film, basically. So that's kind of the story behind it.
I think it's super interesting. I mean, just look at today, for example, Alex Scott being announced as a possible replacement for Sue Barker on A Question of Sport. And I've never seen so much just ridiculousness on my Twitter timeline. People clearly aren't happy with even sort of a talent in this in the football industry coming in. By the way, she's very qualified for her job. Exactly.
She's very good.
But I do think you have a very good point to make in terms of different mediums of being able to tell these stories that are very, very prevalent at the moment. So I guess in terms of you as an individual, have you ever experienced any discrimination? And I guess what sort of challenges have you faced?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, growing up in the UK, you obviously do see certain things. I think I'm not alone in saying that there unfortunately is racism within our society. And I think, I could recount, quite a few examples of things that I've seen. I think in the United Kingdom, though, it's a little bit more, I think we have got it's a bit more subtle for the most part. I think, there's things that happen within our society that aren't necessarily overt examples of racism. People calling, the examples within my film, ironically, are what I would refer to as the tip of the iceberg. I think there's loads of other, several other examples of racism that we see within our society that are a little bit more, under the current, I would say, under the surface. And I think that's kind of where a lot of the attention really should be going, rather than some of the more overt things that we see, because I think the stuff that you see underneath the current eventually leads to people feeling empowered to say things within football stadiums, for example.
What are you aiming to achieve? Well, I guess hoping to achieve also through the story of The South Stand.
Well, obviously, I want people to watch it. I want people to watch, and I want people to think. Really, I don't necessarily think my role as a director is to tell people what they should be thinking. I've made other films beforehand, and the kind of things that I gravitate towards are those in which I kind of leave things a little bit open. When people watch the film, obviously the ending is relatively open, and you kind of wonder what happens next. I like the idea that people will watch this and potentially think and start start a broader conversation about this issue within our society. I think that's the ultimate aim for the project. Yeah, I want people to see it, but I want people to think about the kind of things that I'm trying to discuss as part of this project.
What do you think is the most important thing that people can do to combat racism and also bring more awareness to, like you said, the discrimination that goes on underneath the tip of the iceberg?
Yeah, I'd say the number one thing is listen. Obviously, we've had a year like no other, with lots of things going on, and obviously we've seen a lot of coverage within the BLM movement. And I've spoken to quite a few of my friends from all different races, and I think the general consensus is that if people listen to people's lived experiences, they'll have a better understanding as to what it's like for lots of different people, rather than potentially shooting down people's stories. Listen, think about what's being said, and be willing to accept that there are different approaches and different ways people live their lives. I think that's the number one thing, and I think that's not unique to racism. I think that you could apply that to homophobia, to sexism. If we are people that listen to each other, I think we can create a better world.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. That's why it's so good to have, guests like yourself on here to give us maybe a different perspective, and also through your film. Just before I let you go, King Jay, would you like to have any questions? Anything you would like to add?
I just wanted to ask, obviously you touched on like if he's experiencing any racism, but Rich, I just wanted to ask, when making this film, was there any challenges that you had that you think might, come to you when making the film?
You know what?
If that makes sense.
I think I was really lucky, and one thing I haven't mentioned, which I should have mentioned at the top of this conversation, I shot this with Leighton Orient. I shot it at the Brea Group Stadium. I've got to call it by its proper name now. And yeah, I shot it with them, and they were phenomenally supportive. I think obviously they've got a history through people like Laurie Cunningham and whatnot. And I think, that really did help us get this project over the line. Yes, I am an independent filmmaker, and it's a project that I very much believed in. And I think, as a filmmaker, trying to make projects, there's lots of different challenges that you face. But in all honesty, I think I had a very strong team behind me, be it crew, cast, and everybody else who was involved in the project. And Leighton Orient themselves were particularly supportive by allowing us to shoot at the stadium. So yeah, I think, for this kind of project, I couldn't have had it any better, I would say.
Thank you for the answer.
Yeah, no thank you so much for joining us. I can see that you were really passionate about football and FIFA, but maybe next time we can get you to play. I'm sort of like recruiting everyone already. Yeah.
I'll get rinsed though. It'll be ridiculous. When I spoke to, and also shout out to London United for doing this. It's really good that social enterprises exist, and they are committed to not only using their platforms to raise awareness of issues such as the ones I raised within my film. But yeah, I'd love to play FIFA, but I've seen these guys, and my cousin could beat me this game, honestly. So I think I'll watch.
You can't be worse than Daniel. I'm so sorry, Daniel. I don't mean to flame you, but yeah. Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Rich. We really appreciate it. And everyone else, please go check out The South Stand on YouTube. It's a really, really good film. Go check it out. If you like football, you'll love this. And also go and give Richard a follow on Twitter over there and show them some love.